Once upon a time at Sunnyside Elementary, there were three best friends named Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias. Ahmed was 11 years old, Zaid was 9, and little Elias was just 6. But despite their age gap, the three of them loved to hang out together. They liked playing video games, telling jokes, and most of all, they loved going to school. Well, except when it came to gym class. You see, ever since Mrs. Bumble had become the new gym teacher, things had gotten really boring. She made them do exercises like sit-ups and push-ups that were way too hard for them. She wouldn't let them play any fun games. So during one particularly boring lesson, Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias decided to sneak out of the gym through a side window. When they got outside, they found a dark and narrow pathway between the school and a big forest. "I wonder where this path goes," said Elias, who was always curious about the world around him. Suddenly, he spotted something strange ahead. It looked like a pair of sneakers lying on the ground, but they seemed to be glowing with a bright white light. The boys approached cautiously. "Do you think it's a trap?" whispered Saeed nervously. "Only one way to find out," replied Ahmed, as he bent down to pick up the left shoe. As soon as he put it on, however, he felt a jolt of energy shoot through his entire body. The shoe was warm and tingly, and it fit perfectly. Then Zaid put on the right shoe, and the same thing happened to him. And finally, even little Elias got a pair of shoes that fit him perfectly as well. But the moment all three of them had shoes on, the ground beneath them began to shake. A swirling portal opened up before them, and a booming voice echoed from within. "Welcome, young adventurers, to the magical realm of Sportania," it said. "We have been expecting you." The boys looked at each other confused and scared. Where were they? Who was talking? And how did that old shoe salesman know their names? Before any of them could speak, however, a group of tiny people popped out of the portal. They were all dressed in sportswear, and they surrounded the children, blocking their path forward. "Who are you?" asked Zaid, feeling overwhelmed. "We are your fairy guardians," replied one of the tiny people, "and we need your help to save our kingdom." Turned out that Sportania was a magical place where all sports were played. But ever since an evil sorcerer named Darkmoss had taken over, no one was allowed to move or exercise anymore. All the people of Sportania had become weak and sick, and their once thriving kingdom had become dull and gray. But the fairy guardians had heard a prophecy that 3 children from another world would come to rescue them. And they believed Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias were the ones who could help. To prove themselves worthy, however, the boys would first have to complete 5 physical challenges. Only then would they be allowed to take on Darkmoss and bring back the joy of movement to Sportania. So Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias agreed to help, and their first challenge began immediately. They had to climb a gigantic mountain made of soft cheese. This was quite difficult at first, but as they climbed higher, they remembered all the times they had climbed trees together as kids. Soon they were all at the top, cheering with joy. From there, they moved on to the second challenge, which was to jump across a wide and dangerous chasm. This was much harder than it looked, but as the boys jumped from rock to rock, they thought about all the times they had jumped rope together at recess. And thanks to their teamwork, they managed to reach the other side without falling. The third challenge was to dance with perfect rhythm and balance on a long and winding tightrope. Now, none of the boys had ever danced before, but they knew it was important to try. So taking a deep breath, they began to move. At first, their steps were hesitant and unsure, but as they swayed back and forth, they started to relax and find a flow. They reminded each other to keep moving and to never give up. And in the end, they completed the challenge together. Next up was a running challenge, which tested not only their speed, but also their courage. The boys had to race through a dark and scary forest filled with spooky noises and sudden obstacles. But as they ran, they remembered all the times they had raced each other at home and at school. They encouraged each other to keep going, and soon they crossed the finish line, safe and sound. Finally, it was time for the last challenge, which was to throw a heavy ball all the way across a sparkling lake. This was by far the hardest thing the boys had ever done, but they knew they had to try. Taking a deep breath, they prepared to throw. Then suddenly, a loud crack echoed across the lake. A small branch had fallen into the water, and Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias had forgotten all about it. Instead of letting this distract them, though, the boys used the branch as leverage to swing the ball across the lake. It was the perfect solution. And with one final heave, they sent the ball flying through the air and into the waiting hands of the fairy guardians. At last, the boys had completed all 5 challenges, and as a reward, the fairy guardians led them to a magnificent palace made entirely of gold and jewels. Inside, they presented Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias with the golden sneakers of health, which were said to give whoever wore them incredible strength and stamina. Of course, the boys were thrilled, but they knew it was time to go home. So they thanked the fairy guardians for their help and stepped back into the portal. Back at school, everything was just as they had left it. The gym door was still open and Mrs. Bumble was nowhere to be seen. Looking at the golden sneakers of health, the boys realized they didn't need them to be strong, because they already had all the strength they needed inside of them. From that day on, Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias never complained about gym class again. In fact, they became some of Mrs. Bumble's best students, and they even convinced her to play more fun games during their lessons. Whenever they felt tired or bored, they remembered their adventure in Sportania and how important it was to keep moving. And whenever they saw a pair of sneakers, they were reminded of the magic that lived inside of them. Now, if you want to hear more exciting adventures from Sunnyside Elementary, just follow us for more stories. We have so many more magical tales to share with you, like the time Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias went on a secret mission to save Mrs. Bumble from a pack of hungry monkeys, or the time they discovered a hidden talent that made them famous all around the country. So make sure to follow us if you do and want to miss out on any of the fun. Hey, remember, you can also watch our shorts for even more adventures from Sunnyside Elementary. There are so many fun stories waiting for you, like the time Ahmed, Zaid, and Elias had a snowball fight with some very special guests, or the time they learned a valuable lesson about friendship from a wise old owl. Plus, you can watch our shorts anytime, anywhere, even on the go. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and follow us on our shorts channel for even more magical adventures from Sunnyside Elementary. And finally, if you want to continue the adventure at home, make sure to check out our website. You can play fun, interactive games, download cool activity sheets, and even print out your own golden sneakers. Plus, there's so much more to discover, like our weekly newsletter, which is packed with fun activities, exclusive content, and special offers. We also have a blog full of awesome articles, a shop where you can buy all your favorite Sunnyside Elementary merch, and even a community where you can chat with other fans and share your own stories. So if you want to keep the magic of Sunnyside Elementary alive, visit our website today and join the fun. Thanks for watching, and remember, move your body, power your mind.